Dr. John. 12th edition of Medical Evidence came out. We previously talked about the 11th edition. I know that you authored and made some changes to the new book. Can you please share with us what is it about the new book that's different?
What we've done is tried to add some content that I think is going to be helpful for practitioners, lawyers, and anybody who wants to try and understand some of the medical topics and handle it with authority and confidence. I've been fortunate enough to engage with our publishing company, James Publishing, who really wants to keep the content of medical evidence, this book, fresh. So what we've done is we've actually expanded a number of areas. Probably what's interesting to me is the traumatic brain injury. We actually have a lot of clients with traumatic brain injuries, and we've learned a lot more, and those experiences have been placed also into the medical evidence book. I've added some checklists that practitioners can look at in order to make sure they're comprehensive in their evaluation of the traumatic brain injury clients.
Obviously, I'm lucky enough to have you at my disposal when we have a client together that has a traumatic brain injury. But what is it that a practitioner who maybe doesn't pick up the phone and call us wants to dive into your medical evidence book? What can they use this book for in order to help them with their TBI case or representing somebody who has a TBI?
No, that's a great question. The TBI portion of this book is really divided into kind of content where you can read all about traumatic brain injuries and how to understand the medical records. But in addition to that are these checklists. I keep mentioning these checklists, but I think they're really important, they're really helpful, where a practitioner can say, okay, I have a traumatic brain injury client. I need to look at neuropsychological evaluations. I need to look at advanced imaging. I need to look at what the neurologist says. So even in those particular subparts of the checklist, you can have a better understanding of looking at the medical records. And I think that's what's really helpful in the medical evidence book.
When you developed those checklists inside the book, what was the basis for you developing those checklists?
That's basically our experiences when we're taking care of our clients. What do we do to make sure that we're not missing anything when we're looking at the medical records and when we're representing our client? I've also added some portions to the book in terms of content of how to disclose your medical expert. So it's another one of those areas where you have a checklist to make sure that you're hitting each part of your medical expert's expected testimony, and it'll be helpful when you disclose that expert.
What other topics are new in Revision 12 that weren't in Revision 11? We talked briefly about TBIs. Are there any other topics that you think are new in Revision 12?
One of the things that sometimes is confusing with practitioners is this concept of medical impairments. And a lot of medical impairments are based on knowing and understanding the AMA guidelines to permanent impairment. And so there is another section of this book that talks about AMA guidelines. It talks about how patients are evaluated and how impairments are calculated. So I think that's another area of this book which can be very helpful to those practitioners who want to understand, what does permanency mean? What does impairment mean? And how is that calculated? That's also a part of this book.
You keep using the word practitioners. I just want to make sure we're talking apples to apples.
Sure.
Are you referring to other lawyers who practice in this area of law?
Yes, that's exactly right. Because of my background in terms of my medical background as well, colleagues, practitioners, we try and collaborate all together. And I think that's the aim of this book, is that collaboration with other attorneys.
Is the information contained in here both helping practitioners to learn and understand the injuries and the medicine, but also to help drive value to their cases?
Exactly. I think it's that twofold or two-pronged approach to, you're not only getting an education by reading the medical evidence textbook, but you're also getting an idea of how to maximize the value of your client's cases.
In preparing a lot of the works that you've done inside the medical evidence book, did you also consult with some of your medical practitioner colleagues in order to help develop the content of this book?
Yes, of course. This is really a culmination of not just my experiences, but it's a sharing of experiences between colleagues that are able to share their experiences to help you also expand everybody else's knowledge and education.
If other lawyers in the community are reading through your book and have some follow-up questions for you about its content or about handling their case that's specific to the area that they're reading, like a TBI, can they reach out to you and talk to you about it?
Of course, yeah. We have all the contact information on our website. We always like to help out our fellow colleagues and practitioners in terms of if this isn't sufficient for you, reach out. We're happy to help.